Greetings, Star Warrior.
Welcome to the Outer Rim. Before getting into today's video, I wanted to take a moment and thank my latest patron, Nathan Coburn. Thank you very much, man. You're awesome. Your contribution to this channel has not gone unnoticed and has been much appreciated. Thank you very much, man. Okay, so let's get into the rest of the video now. And the topic today is going to be a little bit different. Every once in a while I kind of veer away from Star Wars as a topic and talk about, things that are loosely related. And that's what I'm going to be doing today. So, when I see hypocrisy on the level that it's hard to ignore, well, I don't ignore it. I usually talk about it, and today's the day where I have a YouTube channel and I can talk about someone who I find to be a major hypocrite. And I've blasted this guy before for stupid things that he said, but it's been a while. So, the title of the video probably gives away who I'm talking about already. So, John Campea, this one's for you. Now, I came across this by watching a Geeks and Gamers video, and if you have not subscribed to if you haven't subscribed to Geeks and Gamers, Jeremy over there is hilarious. The thumbnail he used for this video is great. Now, I don't know Jeremy. I've subscribed to his channel. I've watched a lot of his videos. He uploads a lot more than I do, but he hates The Last Jedi. He hates the SJW BS that we're seeing in Hollywood these days. And if you're subscribed to my channel and you're not subscribed to his channel, I just have to wonder, how have you missed this guy? I definitely don't agree with everything he says all the time, but as far as things go, he is on our side. And I would encourage people to subscribe to his channel because it's pretty damn cool. But without further ado, let's play this John Campea audio.
But it's a tough thing right now. There are still, I mean, look, it still exists. We're making strides in the right direction, but we still exist in a period of time where women just get excluded out of a lot of stuff just because they're women.
That's right, John. You tell him, man. I mean, you're right on. You go ahead. Now, I guess it would be a good time to mention that I've cut this thing up a little bit. I'm only going to take specific statements from John Campea. So I will post a link to his actual video, and I'll timestamp it as well, just in case someone wants to get the entire context of what he's saying here. And he makes his points. But, of course, I don't believe that most of his points are 100% sound, and his hypocrisy definitely does not give him room to say what he says. But let's go with this for a little bit. Let's say women get excluded just for being women. There may be an argument to be made there.
A guy wrote in a question basically saying, hey, Jessica Jones had all female directors for season 2 of Jessica Jones. If Luke Cage did that, all these SJW people would be going nuts. Can you imagine what would happen if Luke Cage did that? And I was like, well, here's the funny thing. Luke Cage did do that. And we pulled up this list of all 13 directors of the first season of Luke Cage. All men. Not a single woman was allowed to direct a single episode.
Wow. If that's true, I gotta say, it doesn't look good. I mean, I wasn't there for the hiring process. I don't know why all the people that they chose for those jobs on that show were all men. But let's just admit that, yeah, it looks kind of bad. I'm willing to give you that.
Season 1 of Daredevil, all male directors. Not a single woman was allowed to direct. And, and then I, counter juxtapose that against the fact that season 1 of Jessica Jones had pretty much an even split of female directors and male directors. And season 1 of Jessica Jones is one of the most highly critically successful seasons of Netflix Marvel television. So it's like, so how come Jessica Jones and their producers were able to find tons of extremely talented, female directors to direct their show, and it became like the most critically lauded, the most critically applauded season of Netflix Marvel television? How come they were able to find them, and yet for Daredevil, none? For Luke Cage, none. For Iron Fist, out of the 13 episodes, 2 were directed by women. Out of Punisher, despite the fact that the last Punisher movie was directed by a woman, out of Punisher, 2 out of the 13 episodes were directed by women. And yet, when Jessica Jones did it, they found tons of talented female directors that were clearly very good because it's the most critically praised season of any Netflix Marvel show. And yet, none of the rest of the shows could find a single woman. Yeah, there's just no denying. You cannot deny. The math is simply inexplicable. In poker, we call it mathematically highly improbable.
Mathematically highly improbable. Nice poker joke there, dude. Pulling out the poker joke always makes you correct. You can probably tell that I'm building this up to a point, and I'm not getting to the point just yet. But I am laughing my ass off on the inside right now because I know something about John Campea and things that he has said that just, well, let's go on with John Campea. Let's stick with John Campea for a second.
There are going to be some people that try to push the issue to say, look, we're going to force some female directors on you. We're going to force some, ethnically diverse directors on you so you can finally see that talent is what matters. Not gender, not ethnicity.
No. You're going to force some shit on people. I mean, how would you like it if people forced some shit on you? So now's the time that I'm going to take you guys back to a day in 2013. And we're going to look at 2013 John Campea. Because that guy didn't seem to enjoy having shit forced on him.
In the comic book world, there have been several main Green Lanterns.
Yeah.
And there's this one character, John Stewart, who's a Green Lantern. Personally, I wouldn't have been interested.
What? Somebody tell me he did not just say that. Really, tell me he did not say that he wouldn't be interested in seeing the black superhero. I mean, what possible, legitimate reason could there be for John Campea, Mr. Women aren't getting their chance and ethnics aren't getting their chance, to say that he wouldn't be interested in seeing the black superhero, the Black Green Lantern? I mean, for decades and decades and decades now, you've had all kinds of white superheroes in cinema. You've had Superman. You've had Batman. You've had Spider-Man. You've had Ghost Rider. You've had the Hulk. You've had so many white superheroes that I can't be bothered to name them all. And is there anything wrong with that? Well, according to 2013 John Campea, there's nothing wrong with that. But according to 2018 John Campea, it's a problem.
To me, it's like Batman. Batman is Bruce Wayne. And if you want to do a movie about Batman where he's not Bruce Wayne but some other guy being the Batman, I am not interested. I'm a comic geek and a sci-fi and fantasy film geek, so I would be there to see it. Same thing with Green Lantern. Look, if you made Green Lantern with John Stewart, sure, I'll go. Sure, I'll watch it because I'm kind of genetically encoded to do so.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't really be interested in it because to me, Green Lantern is Hal Jordan. That's who Green Lantern is. If you're going to do Green Lantern, it's got to be Hal Jordan.
Listen to the defeat in his voice when he says this right here.
Same thing with Green Lantern. Look, if you made Green Lantern with John Stewart, sure, I'll go. Sure, I'll watch it because I'm kind of genetically encoded to do so.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I know exactly what he means. Exactly. I mean, there was a time where I was John Campea. Especially when he says this right here.
Green Lantern is Hal Jordan. That's who Green Lantern is. If you're going to do Green Lantern, it's got to be Hal Jordan.
So now I've got a little bit of a story time for you guys. Back in the 90s, I, took a little bit of my money, set it aside for that I was, usually buying video games with, and I set it aside for comic books. And, of course, I was a DC Comics fan. I was huge, Superman and Justice League and stuff like that. So I bought a few of those. And over the course of the 90s, I realized something. Green Lantern was not my Green Lantern, I mean, I grew up in the 80s. Green Lantern was Hal Jordan, Super Friends and all that crap. And in the 90s, something weird happened. Hal Jordan was gone. All through the 90s. I mean, it was like 7-8 years, it seemed like, from, I don't know what year exactly I started buying comics, but it was sometime in the early 90s. And throughout the 90s, into the late 90s, just couldn't find Hal Jordan in a comic book, couldn't find him in a cartoon, nothing. There was this other guy playing Green Lantern, and I wasn't interested in him. He wasn't Hal Jordan. And then we hit the 2000s, and cartoons are coming out. And Bruce Timm comes out with the Justice League cartoon, and I'm watching Justice League. I'm like, this is going to be great. And then, and then I see the first episode, and Green Lantern is John Stewart. He's this dude. I'm ready to explode at this point. Where the hell is Hal Jordan? That was all I cared about. I didn't care about Superman, Batman, or Wonder Woman being in that show. I was not going to watch it. I turned the damn thing off. I'm like, I'm done with this situation. Someone is effing with my mind right now. And my family, my brother was the same way. But for some reason, he took a day off, and he's like, oh, I'm going to watch this thing. And then he eventually watched it, and he came to me and says, you got to turn this show on. I'm like, I'm not doing it. And he was like, no, seriously, man, you got to turn this show on. And I was like, fine, whatever. So I go in there, I watch the show. I'm like, that was pretty badass. And Green Lantern was pretty badass. So I kept watching the show. And I have to say, I think the Green Lantern was the best character on that show. So I know where John Campea is coming from. The problem is, I'm certain, I would bet my life that John Campea has seen that show, and I don't understand his perspective after seeing that show. As far as I'm concerned, the first 2 seasons of that show were some of the greatest cartoon media I've seen, period. And the depth of storytelling they were able to achieve through the character of Jon Stewart, I have no complaints with there being other Green Lanterns anymore. Green Lantern does not have to be Hal Jordan.
And the fact that they made about Hal Jordan has nothing to do with why the movie didn't do well.
So I mentioned before that John Campea was going on about this in 2013. And this is after the terrible Green Lantern movie starring Hal Jordan, which came out in 2011. Not only did that movie not do well, it lost over $90 million at the box office. Now, what I'm about to say is a little bit controversial, but I don't care, I'm going to say it anyway. On a mainstream scale, the cartoon I was talking about with Jon Stewart put Green Lantern on the map. But when it came time to make a movie, some DC executives and some Warner Brothers executives got together and they said, Green Lantern is popular, we want to make a movie, let's use Hal Jordan. They made a movie, it came out in 2011, and it lost over $90 million. But in 2013, John Campea wants to say that Hal Jordan has to be Green Lantern. And he's not interested in Jon Stewart.
And it ain't going to be until some people force some of it on us that we're going to go, okay, now we have to acknowledge it. It's forced on our face, now we have to acknowledge it, and then maybe things can change. But too many people are just comfortable with the status quo, and too many people are fiercely fighting to just keep the status quo. There are people who will fight fiercely to keep women in their place. There are people who will fight fiercely to keep people of different ethnicities and different backgrounds in their place. There are still people in this world who will fight tooth and nail to keep those people in their place and not want to open up the table for more opportunity for more people. But those people are dinosaurs. Those people will be like the people who tried to fight to keep segregation in America so many decades ago. These are the same people who are going to be fighting to make it legal just to fire somebody from a company because we find out they're gay. Can you believe that was legal in this country? If you found out somebody was gay in your company, you were totally legally allowed to fire them from their job if you found out they were gay. Those people were dinosaurs, and those things started to go extinct. These attitudes will also become dinosaurs and will go extinct, and we will progress.